Mahadev. Saturn Jupiter Moon conjunction, which is one of the most powerful complex conjunctions in Vedic astrology. How do these people have a strange optimism on their funambulist mind? Let's figure it out in this video today. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and watch till the end. Check out various planetary conjunction playlists on this channel. Saturn, Jupiter and Moon, when they are together, they make the person go through various confusion in the beginning. What confusion? The first confusion comes due to Saturn Jupiter association is they do not know which activity to stick to, what should be his or her continuous vocation, profession, or by doing which activity they add meaning to their life, because Jupiter is meaning. Okay. Saturn and Jupiter, they both treat each other neutrally. However, they both are in different nature. Both are big and take a long time to encircle the Sun. Jupiter is a planet of expansion, Saturn is a planet of contraction. Jupiter wants to expand all our experiences, Saturn wants to limitize and restrict our experiences so that we develop our character, and he does that in a very painful way, Saturn, because he brings in pain and retribution and misery to develop our character. And here you have Moon in this particular conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter. Moon witnesses and feels, experiences all that, the clash of this expansion and contraction of Saturn and Jupiter. Okay. Moon with Saturn becomes starved of emotional nourishment. The emotional needs of that particular individual does not get met in the childhood through mostly their mother or their caretakers. Okay. Now on top of that, they have the Saturn Jupiter difficulty where they do not know what to do or what to stick to for the rest of their life. Whenever they become very hopeful and take up an initiative, Saturn blows his reality onto his face, the native's face, and snatches him from that particular task or endeavor where he or she thought that doing this I will feel good. Okay, by joining this particular course I will feel good, I will have skills, or by joining this particular company I will have a good career. Saturn snatches it away and they go into pessimism. So they swing from optimism from Jupiter and pessimism from Saturn, then again they become hopeful because Jupiter and Moon is there. Jupiter Moon brings in too much of optimism because Moon is the receptive planet, wobbly, soft planet. Jupiter brings in optimism, benevolence, grace, hope, double quote, onto the Moon. So he again comes out from the pessimism and become hopeful to start off another initiative. And then again Saturn comes and snatches that away from that person. And this is where the funambulist keeps on falling from that particular rope. If you don't know what is funambulism, funambulism is the act of walking from point A to B on a particular rope or a cable without falling, only holding onto a shaft or a stick. So this person keeps on crashing from that cable because of Saturn Jupiter clash. But he again gets up and he takes up the initiative of crossing it again. That is why I associate funambulist or funambulism philosophy with all the Saturn Jupiter conjunctions. Okay, because here this expansion cannot happen in the Jupiterian way, and also this contraction, the routine, repetitive, disciplined moment of Saturn cannot happen in Saturnian way because Jupiter is there. Jupiter likes to expand. If the person gives in to Saturn's ideology or Saturn's wish that I will be only disciplined and do rigorous disciplined tasks, Jupiter will not let him do that. Or if he wants to do all big tasks or take up big initiatives or become very hopeful, okay, Saturn will snatch that hope or that optimism and make it strange optimism, okay. And why do I call it strange optimism? Because these people, they take long to learn this particular, lesson, and that is the hardcore life's, experience of this particular conjunction. They do not learn that by staying only optimistic, things will not get ahead. They will not find momentum. They will not find the progression, okay. So they fall down and again come back because of too much of optimistic effect of Jupiter and Moon, and that's how I call it strange optimism, okay, because the optimism is strange. Their optimism has to be very much realistic, which Saturn wants, and that's why Saturn brings in failure and failure and failure again and again. So what should be done? So one has to become like that funambulist who cannot run on that rope. If he runs, he falls. Who cannot stop on simply he cannot stand on that rope. In order to stay in balance, he has to take one step at a time. One step at a time, in order to gain the momentum of this particular conjunction, in order to have that meaningful endeavors, in order to add or attach meaning to whatever that person is taking part in, okay, whatever he must be doing. Whether he is a romantic lover loving his girl, or a girl loving her boyfriend, that is her initiative. Even in that, or somebody trying to build a career in finance, or somebody is doing something, an artist, a cartoonist writing, for various newspapers, nobody is selecting him, but they have to do this same thing. If you have this conjunction, okay, or if you want to teach somebody who has this conjunction, he has to do the same thing, taking one step at a time, just like that funambulist. Little expansion can only give momentum. Here you cannot expand too much. Little expansion will bring little momentum. One step, and then you see the point B. You see your goal, you reach your goal. The moment you try to do too much, you bring in, now things are working well, let me do more, okay. Then Saturn again makes you fall from that rope, and you start from the point A, and that's the most difficult and painful part of this Saturn Jupiter conjunction. Starting from beginning, this is very difficult. So this is the core philosophy here. Not becoming too excited, not becoming too optimistic. That is Jupiter's love dose, optimistic dose, which brings in complacency. Don't become complacent because of Jupiter, and that's what happens. Saturn Mahadasha comes right after Jupiter. 16 years of complacency and hope gets shattered in Saturn Mahadasha, okay. Whether you go through Saturn Mahadasha Jupiter, that is different case. Now here also same thing, so don't be complacent, be realistic, okay. But you have to have that hope, you have to have that optimism also. That the optimism should not be strange, but it has to be there, because there is a very core foundation to spring back from adversity. When you fall into fall from that path, fall from that rope, you again come back and you start. That time you require that Jupiter, okay, and then you attach meaning. So all this happens slowly, okay. You face various struggles and failures, and then finally you learn what is the right way to do, and the swing of pessimism and optimism reduces and a balance comes. Okay, at the balanced funambulist you become. But in the first half of the life, 35, 36, even 40, it is difficult. All pain, all difficulty, adversity will subside after the first half of life. What particular age? There is no particular age. Anytime it can happen. In the middle half of your life, in the mid 30s or even in 40s. Okay, but mostly after the 30 you learn a lot of solid lessons to be able to have that particular discernment to understand how much optimistic you should be. Okay, and get rid of that strange optimism and develop realistic optimism. Okay, and all the now let's call 36 the age of Saturn's maturation, which I even said in Saturn Jupiter, only Saturn Jupiter video here. I will tag all the true planetary conjunction video here, please watch them. So all of this pain, the emotional starvation and the tremendous frustrating experiences of falling and again starting from the first, from the beginning will subside after the age of 36, let us say mid half, because by that time Jupiter will become seasoned by 3 repetition. You will have 3 Jupiter return. Jupiter takes 12 years, right? So 3 Jupiter return you will have, and Saturn will mature at the age of 36. So now if you are in 25, can you not have maturity? Yes, you can have this same approach which I just taught. Okay, not too much of optimism, not becoming too much excited, having realistic expectations and taking one step at a time is the only imperative of this conjunction. I hope you will understand what I mean, and give me a like here, subscribe if you want to talk to me, consult, then go to my website astrologer8.com, and I will see you in the next one with a new interesting video. Har Har Mahadev.